Hey there, everybody. Welcome to Comic Book Curation. I'm Polly. And joining me, as always, is Quiz. Quiz, how you doing?
I'm doing okay.
Cool. Rounding out our triumvirate of awesome is Jack from Bad Comic Reviews. Link in the description. Jack, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. How you doing, Polly?
Well, I'd complain, but who'd listen? And our special guest today is none other than Kaos Eve. We tried having our guest last week. Was that last week? I don't know. I drank and pop pills. So I can't remember, but she's here now. Eve, how are you?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Oh, I'm here. So yeah, I was still suffering with the new YouTube backend. Every time they make something better, YouTube makes it worse.
Yeah, it's the way it always is.
You know, I thought that was a rumor until I experienced it myself, but no, it's not a rumor. They really do just make things worse and worse.
Yeah,
They're trying real hard.
In an attempt to make things better, they always make things worse.
before we went live, Pete was nice enough to send me a donation. No message popped up, but thank you so much, Pete. That was really cool of you.
Yeah, Pete.
And after our intros, I was going to get around to the very same thing myself. Thank you, Pete. The donation, very, very generous. Before we even went live, man, you can do it when we go live. We got pop-ups that oh yeah.
Careful, Pete. You're gonna spoil them.
Well, I forgot to turn off the Noir Bar pop-ups, so damn it, you missed out on a chance on what was it again? I forget what is around for that dollar amount.
Jessica Alba.
No, Jessica Alba's at 5, PK 15, because he's awesome and no message. So. Shots out to you, Pete. Where do we want to start today? There's lots of stuff going on, and not really. Sorry for the lies, but whatever.
Just jump right into it. You know,
just jump right into it. And by jump, I mean jump cuts with a whole bunch of fucking clickbait. You fucking shill prick, you. All right, I'm going to share a screen over here so all the people hanging out can see what we're talking about at the same time that I'm seeing it.
No, Flash. Oh,
yeah, it is Flash. It isn't it? God damn Chrome. If it's not Chrome, it's YouTube. If it's not YouTube, it's my router. If it's not my router, it's my potato. And people wonder why I drink and pop pills. Okay.
Now, to be fair, Chrome and YouTube are both owned by Google, so Google's half of your problem.
Is it? Do we let Alphabet slide? Are they really the puppet
I
master
so.
controlling the marionettes?
No, do not let them slide. Fuck Google.
Well, you know, if you think about it, they're probably dictating, like, make it mediocre.
I'd rather not fuck Google. I might catch something.
Yeah. And not something fun either.
And Far Zeus me upside down Harlot is in chat. And for those of you who don't know, it was her birthday yesterday or today, or I'm not really sure anymore because she lives on the other side.
Still technically today.
Yeah, it's still technically
According to my calendar, it's still technically today.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Happy birthday!
Happy Little Emancipation Day, Far. May you forever remain free of the confines of your mother's internal prison.
What she said.
Everybody stares at me because I'm weird.
So, did everyone send her some Vegemite? I did. Did you?
Ew. No, I have more respect for her than that.
She's Aussie, man. She likes it. What are you talking about? It's not poison.
Disgusting.
Oh man,
it's disgusting.
She sends us pictures and shit. Like, oh look, it's a Vegemite sandwich. Okay.
Hey, what are you doing? Spreading all of that moss on your bread?
No. See, I figured this out. I pieced it together last night when we were talking about this on Monkey. What Vegemite really is an intimidation tactic. That's why Australia's never been invaded. It's yet another thing they can prove. Like, look how badass we are. We eat this stuff. Look at spoonfuls.
And say that would also fly if they didn't lose a war to giant birds.
Look, the birds caught them off guard. I'm willing to let that one slide.
That was a terrible pun. Emus don't fly.
Have you seen those fuckers? You'd lose to them too, Quiz.
Yeah.
Don't lie.
They had machine guns.
Well,
Yeah,
you know what's funny about that? People say they have machine guns, but have you ever seen a wild turkey hunt? Like in America, you ever seen them go shotgunning for turkeys?
No.
It's honestly, it's amazing to watch. They'll be using a 3.5-inch Magnum 12 gauge with steel shot and put an extra tight choke on it, so there's no spread. Those pellets all stay close as fuck, and they go bang from 50 yards away, and you just hear pellets pinging all over. Those fucking feathers are like armor. It's the weirdest fucking thing. So the idea of shooting a big, and now we're talking about an emu, which is like, steroid roid monkey fucking turkeys. I'm not surprised machine guns didn't do much to them. There's like ping, 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 ow, stop.
A Browning M2 would shred a bird, is all I gotta say.
They didn't use that. They had a Lewis, which is garbage.
Okay,
so they got garbage equipment with probably some new guys that were like fuck ups anyway. Like, you want to get out of latrine duty, you got to go kill these birds. Okay.
Apparently, it was like the perfect storm of just shit that happened because apparently, according to Farr, emus are Satan's children, and let's see. Also, they didn't take good care of those machine guns, so they weren't in good shape and they weren't usable. So it was just a perfect storm of bad shit happened, and that's why they lost.
So what you're telling
At
me
least
is
that's
that
what she'll tell herself.
Oh, so what you're telling me is that Australians recruit bogans into their military, and they're all like really badly upkept rednecks?
No, what it is sometimes you're going to get fuck ups. You're going to get one or two bogans that slip in. And I'm not saying those guys were bogans, but I suspect it to be true.
Okay.
So I think it was just a black swan event of everything that could have gone wrong, just like Eve said. Poorly maintained equipment, they didn't have enough guys, they didn't have enough stuff, and there was no direction. And emus are complete fucking spastics. Like I read this, they have a lookout one, and then if he sees danger, he makes a noise, and all the others just freak out and run all over the place. How do you fight that? Plus, they have a lot of body fat, and that's where their flavor is stored. So it absorbs a lot of bullets, because for like years people would like hit them with a car or something, and there'd be like 5 bullets in the damn thing. So yeah, they've got like this feathery armor with a bunch of blubber underneath, with probably small internal organs that are run by the evil little imps from Satan.
So what you're saying is, if you eat an emu, they taste like freedom or gunpowder, which is the same thing.
They would probably taste like sulfur, which it comes from the devil's butt.
Oh.
Yeah, Frosted Glass points it out too. Everybody knows emus can only be killed by the ultimate nullifier.
What is the ultimate nullifier?
Oh, shame.
What?
Oh, look it up on the Marvel wiki. I'm not even explaining. Oh.
No, that's not even...
You gotta know, dude, you gotta remember one very important thing about me and Marvel. If it ain't the X-Men, I don't know nor care.
It's a big badass weapon that Galactus keeps in his store. And then it got stolen a bunch of times, and then Franklin Richards had it for a little while. It's this small little thing with a little hook coming off of it. Yeah, kaboom. Anyway. What was I saying? Oh, I wasn't talking. That's why I can't remember. Ryan Walters, that made me laugh. He said, "No, Polly, emu is an internet cow." Well, I say American style. I'm not. I can't get the emu thing working the same way that like Farr manages to turn the word no and o into like 3 syllables. I don't know how she does it. It's impressive.
She uses every vowel.
There's only one
in order.
She just pronounces the vowels.
Yeah.
Oh shit! All right. Anyway, busting balls on our friends the Aussies.
Havoc said, "Damn, Polly, that pinup be hot as fuck." I agree.
Which one?
I'm assuming it was the thumbnail.
Oh, the thumbnail from today. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, you're gonna remake movies. Let's remake The Wizard of Oz and have her in it as Dorothy. Am I right? We need Dorothy in Daisy Dukes and little.
I don't think anyone's going to disagree with you.
Are you sure? I think a lot of people on Twitter would disagree with me.
It depends. Are we aging Dorothy up, or are we leaving her as the 10-year-old girl in the book?
Well, how old was what's her name in the movie?
Awkward.
Judy Garland, who's 16.
Really? I thought she was like 20 playing 16.
No, she was 16.
No, really? Ah, well, I don't know. I've only seen it
Real
once.
quick on the Streamlabs. Thank you, Fatty057. Goddamn Loch Ness Monster. Thank you for the tree, Fitty.
Trey Fitty.
Look at this. The troll situation rears its ugly head. We knew it would when they released it, but yeah, there it is. AMC Theaters bans Universal Films after Trolls VOD move. Yeah, well, you release it for free and you skate around them, and they're like, hey, this is our monopoly, you bastards. AMC Theaters is refusing to play Universal Films following the studio's decision to move Trolls World Tour to video on demand. And later comments made by NBC Universal CEO Shell.
Wait, they're upset that they're not gonna get the animated Trolls movie?
Yeah. Well, that's just, they have an agreement that you don't do that. And it's like, yeah, but you guys aren't open. And it's like, and they're like, well, okay, but we've got this movie that we paid a lot of money for and promoted the fuck out of, so we're going to release it on video on demand. And AMC's like, well, fuck your money. So there we go.
I think AMC needs, or not AMC, Universal needs to do something to break even on that movie.
Yeah, well,
who's actually going to see that?
A lot of kids will go see it. It's a kids movie, right? That's the trolls with the goofy hair, right?
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, so they'd make a ton of money off kids screenings. So I understand why they're mad, but it's a dangerous precedent to be like, we're not releasing your movie. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Like, to ban all their future movies, that's just a mistake. It's overreactionary.
Boo, Ryan Walter.
What?
Far said, leave Wizard of Oz alone. Ryan Walter says, figures Far would be the one defending the Aussies. This is terrible. What are you, Jordan 250? Jesus, you guys should collaborate. See if you can cause a black hole from the level of dad jokeism.
Don't let Geodes get into chat.
Geodes would trump them all with his puns.
I love their jokes. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Geodes physically hurts me.
I didn't say I didn't love them. It's like it's like the way I love Partners and Suburban Sasquatch and they're Last Vampire on Earth, The Room that everybody knows. They're so painful to watch that it's sort of like aesthetic masochism, that sort of thing. Hey, chat, let's all commiserate together. I was watching a stream the other day where this was happening. Don't you love it when people do this? Don't you love that? Like they're just fucking with the scroll button and they can't sit still. So they just scroll up and down, not realizing that they're driving chat fucking crazy because it's like, what are you doing that for? Why don't you just fucking stop that?
I hate you right now.
See, I'm not the only one, right? It's like, can you just fucking leave it alone? And no, they can't because
only scroll.
I can
need to read more.
You know what this is? It's a digital fidget spinner. That's what's happening right now. Fuck.
It's would you call it a super scroll?
Colin, if you continue to do that, we're gonna have a fight.
All right, so let's see what's going on. The news comes out just hours after Universal announced the sequel grossed nearly $100 million in video-on-demand rentals over its first 3 weeks, generating $77 million in revenue for the studio. First Trolls film grossed blah, blah, blah. The film exceeded our expectations and proved the viability of premium video on demand, Shell told the Wall Street Journal. As soon as theaters reopen, we expect to release movies on both formats. But there's a twist. According to the Hollywood Reporter, AMC Theaters chair CEO Adam Aron sent a strongly worded letter to Shell on Tuesday evening following the Universal's executive's comments. Quote, "It's disappointing to us, but Jeff's comments as to Universal's unilateral actions and intentions have left us with no choice. Therefore, effective immediately, AMC will no longer play any Universal movies in any of our theaters in the United States, Europe, or the Middle East." Damn!
That's actually a pretty big thing because Universal is not a tiny studio.
They are certainly not.
And AMC is a big chain. I mean, they're one of the biggest in the country.
Yeah, so that's a tiff. That's not even a tiff. That's a fight.
That's a
Well-
straight up street brawl, man. Look, I think this is a big deal because movie theaters are already in big trouble,
Yeah.
and they couldn't afford to take this shutdown like they did because it's just crushing their sales. They make most of their money off concession stands. And a big movie like this that would be kids market, which is guaranteed sales.
Yeah.
Any kids movie is going to get butts and seats.
And it-
That's a big deal if they release them on both platforms at once. Why would you take your kid all the way out to the theater when you could just stay at home and have them playing quietly watching a movie?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think this is a really big deal.
Oh, thank you, Pete. Donated tree fitty. Goddamn Loch Ness monster, you ain't getting no tree fitty from me. And I don't know, man. It's big, but AMC isn't the only theater chain. I'm sure that there's plenty of other theater chains that will gladly run Universal's movies, and they get the exclusivity market. This is AMC, in my opinion, shooting themselves in the foot, getting in a tiff over nothing, and massively cutting off their nose despite their face.
Maybe. I mean, it really depends on how big of a share they have. I mean, if they're it really will depend on if they want their movie. If Universal really wants to get their movies out there, they'll get their movies out there. They're big enough; they can get the attention that they need. To where you're probably right, it will drive traffic to other theaters because hey, AMC theaters aren't showing these.
Yep.
So I could definitely see that, but I could also see it actually hurting Universal a little bit. So I don't know.
I don't know, man. I think Universal is just gonna laugh. It's AMC that's already killing themselves, and then doing this now again too. It's
Yeah, I think Eve's right though. This could go either way because Universal's had some really big flops lately, like the Universal monster movies that were supposed to be real big, like that garbage Tom Cruise fiasco of The Mummy. They lost a ton of money on that.
That was terrible. Was Dracula Untold supposed to be one of the ones?
Yeah.
Because I remember that one not being that bad, but it wasn't that great either.
Well, it lost a bunch of money too.
It did. Yeah.
They've been bleeding money on some of these movies, and this Troll thing could have been in theaters and then on streaming or in whichever order. They could have even worked out a deal to release it during the coronavirus as a temporary measure on streaming and then send it out to theaters.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know how well this is going to be a win for anyone. I think they're both going to lose pretty badly on this because there's only so many big chains. You got Cinemark, AMC, and Royal, and maybe a couple others like the Draft House type stuff. But AMC's a really big chain. That's international. So I could see it going either way on this, but it's definitely a spat that could have long-reaching ramifications for other theater or for other studios too.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, the whole thing about AMC doing this, and plus, you would think that if they had, I don't know, some sort of contract in place, they wouldn't need to go to shill media to sit there and say, well, we're not gonna play their movies anymore. You would think that they could just take them to court and say, hey, we had a contract, you reneged on the contract, and we need our money now, thank you. So this just speaks of this just reeks, in my opinion, of sensationalism, media spin, and ways to drum up interest in both Universal and AMC. Maybe that's me being cynical, but I don't see this as being a death for either of them. The only person it could be a death to would be AMC.
You might be right. I don't know.
Oh God, Geos. Apparently we summoned him by talking about him earlier. Uh, and I'm getting a lot of people in chat saying they love Dracula Untold. I didn't mind it. I thought it was actually pretty cool. It's an interesting sort of take on Dracula. It was the the whole Romania versus Turkey era of Dracula, rather than like say Bram Stoker's, where it's several hundred years in the future, and he's going to England. So I don't know. It was interesting. I'm not sure if it made me money though, comparatively speaking.
Yeah, I didn't see it, but I'll probably check it out because a lot of people are saying it's good in chat. So they are refined people.
I had fun with it. It's no say high intellectual. It's a fun popcorn flick. It's an action popcorn flick.
Did you see it, Polly?
No, I didn't. I was just actually looking it up right now.
Oh.
I say I'm a Dracula fucking nut, so of course I saw it.
Well, but did Chaos see it?
What am I seeing now?
Dracula Untold?
No.
Yeah, I know you like vampires. I wasn't sure if Polly was into vampire movies or not.
See, that's the thing, is I'm very particular when it comes to it. So it's not like just anything vampires. Like, for example, Twilight is not on my radar anywhere.
That's not what your Tumblr says.
My Tumblr doesn't exist.
Oh, well,
So,
I'll create it later so the joke's funnier.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like
No, I get what you're saying. Yeah, I don't like, nobody likes fucking Twilight, to be fair. But
wait, Dracula Untold. I'm remembering this now.
It's a little like, say, Lord of the Rings meets Game of Thrones.
Okay, no, I did see this one. See this one. What's the name? What's the guy's name? Fucking name. He was in it. Luke Evans played Dracula.
Mm-hmm.
I did see that one. I did like it. It was pretty interesting. Kind of put him in like an anti-hero perspective. Like, he's like, I don't want to do this shit, but you guys are making me do this shit,
It was interesting because it's him trying to lead his people and win a war, all while coming to terms with the fact that he's this horrible blood drinking monster.
Mm-hmm.
I believe the phrase is "you're a shit sucking vampire."
I was saying no. It's
I dug it.
It's the line from Ryan Reynolds in Blade 3. You cock juggling thunder cunt. But
what did you just say?
Cock juggling thunder cunt.
Have you not seen the meme that Zelthor made where he fixed it so Pikachu was saying that, because Pikachu's voiced by Ryan Reynolds.
Detective Pikachu saying you cock juggling thunder cunt.
Look, I made a Lost Boys reference and you bring up Blade 3.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Those movies aren't even in the same league.
No, they're not. Blade 3 is terrible, but
if we're gonna talk about best vampire movies, I'm gonna say Underworld. I mean, I'm just saying,
I liked Underworld. It's a fun popcorn film, but I don't think it's ranking in the best vampire category.
I think Underworld is actually a pretty terrible movie. I'm sorry. This is, I guess, me being contrarian, but
you're allowed to be wrong, Quiz. We've already established that about several other things, Mr. I like Shattered Memories.
We all know why everyone likes Underworld, and it's because of the tight lycra cat suit, and it's not because of the substance of the movie.
No.
I'm not saying that's not a primary deciding factor in my love of those movies. I'm just saying.
Look, if I want to see Kate Beckinsale naked, I'll go rent The Haunted with Aidan Quinn. That flick, oh yeah, full on naked. It was sexy. It was actually a pretty decent movie too. But Underworld's a fun, like, brainless movie where you can watch it and kind of just do your thing, and you work on your term paper or whatever while it's playing in the background, and look up occasionally and be like, oh yeah, that's still hot, and move on with your day. But yeah, it's just an okay movie in my opinion.
Oh, great.
I'm allowed to be wrong too, Chaos. It's okay. Mm-hmm.
If people are sitting there talking about wanting to see naked women in a vampire movie, then how about Francis Ford Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula?
I'd have gone with the fat dude in Blade
It's
2.
just what Polly said in chat there. That's
No.
exactly. You just read that from chat.
Did I?
You must have.
What?
Yeah.
That was the exact same movie Polly just referenced in chat.
Well, he's saying that Winona Ryder was in peak hotness. She didn't even get naked, dude.
She doesn't need to get naked. She's hot and everything.
She never gets naked.
I want it even more, and I saw that article that's coming up next.
I'm just saying, there's a scene where she's in like this little super thin flannel thing, and she's running around in the rain wet, so things are sticking to things, and she kisses her friend. That's pretty good, considering Winona Ryder is not known for doing nude scenes. I mean, take what you can get and be happy. She was a peak hotness. Come on.
I'm okay with that.
I don't know, man. She didn't kiss her friend. Her friend kissed her.
That's not how it played in my head.
Oh, okay.
You leave my head canon alone, mister.
Because my fapping memories, I mean, memory of that movie recalls they leaned in and kissed each other, but whatever. Somebody was kissing somebody. Yeah.
And one of those people kissing or being kissed wasn't me.
I feel your pain. I'm also sad Winona Ryder isn't kissing me. So anyway, orcs are problematic, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been seeing that a lot lately, and they need to kiss my ass.
This trended on Twitter, is that right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it did.
Explains kind of why I blocked the trending window. So what were the Twitter people saying?
You might want to let me in on how to do that, because I'm getting quite sick of it. Let's put it this way: if you guys follow me on Twitter, which all of you should, because if you like Warhammer related content or any of that kind of stuff, or some of the stuff I talk about on CBC, you can also see me get in an argument when a absolutely retarded socialist comes onto my page to say that Tolkien was a racist because he made orcs black. And they're racist because they're black. If you guys want to hear me get into it, last Monday's Minions of the Zoo, I actually read the whole thread that I got into with this guy. Yeah, it's essentially what it all boils down to, is that a whole bunch of people, whole bunch of judgmental race baiting retards are saying that orcs are black. And it's racist to depict them as being evil or have a propensity towards being savage because they're black.
Not buying it.
Yeah. I don't know
we
where
can see
they're
the stream settings you're messing with there. There you go.
Yeah.
You got it. Anyway, yeah, Pat says, aren't they comparing orcs to black people? Yes, they were. Yes, they are.
Yeah, nobody I have ever played a game with ever made that analogy.
Yeah,
I've
no
never
one
heard
does.
anyone say that, because they're different species.
And depending on the lore, like if you go back to the original, like the earliest mention of orcs as a race of anything that I can possibly recall was Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, where they were corrupted elves.
Right. So in what way does that equate black people? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, that's what this dude was arguing with me on Twitter about, is the fact that he said that orcs were described in Tolkien's work as having black skin, and their mirror image, their uncorrupted selves, are elves, and they're all supposed to be, the Aryan white men. And I don't know. I don't buy it. See, that's the thing, man, is that the reason why it can't be racist, right, is because regardless of what you think may be the origins behind any author's reason for putting things in the way that they did, it doesn't matter because orcs are orcs, not humans. And if humans still exist in that universe, then there's going to be black people. They're not an allegory if black people exist. They're just another race of humanoid creature. You get what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It can't be an allegory when the thing that it's supposed to be showing is similar exists. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, I
What
know
gets me is if you go through the D&D books from even like second edition, there's plenty of people of different skin tones depicted as humans.
Yeah.
And even the elves have different variations. So I don't understand how they equated these freakish orcish monsters with black people. Like, what in your head made that connection?
Well, I would loathe to think what their reaction would be if I were to bring up the drow.
Yeah, any kind of night elf or dark elf from any fantasy universe, even like the real world folklore of the dark elves and the sun elves, that would drive them completely fucking mad. That tells me these people are fake geeks and they're race baiting.
Well, see, okay, here's the thing, right? Eve, you're bringing up that orcs were, okay. I don't want to misquote you or anything like that. You said that your first interaction with orcs or first recollection of orcs was in
the earliest, as far as I'm aware, the earliest mention in fantasy literature of any kind of orcs was Tolkien's works.
Well, okay, here's something then, since Polly was on my case about this sort of stuff. I was saying before about, like, say Wikipedia or something like that. Oh, can't you get something more peer reviewed, like Encyclopedia Britannica? Well, here is the Encyclopedia Britannica article on orc. Orc is a mythical creature such as a sea monster or a giant or an ogre of horrid form or aspect. The word orc in English has two distinct sources. Orc is in reference to the vague Cretacean sea monster, is borrowed from one or more Romance words, such as French orc, spelled with a Q-U-E, Italian orca, all ultimately descend from Latin orca, which is denoted a small crustacean, such as a killer whale in Ludovico. Ariosto's epic Orlando Furioso, the heroine Angelica is set out as a victim for a man-eating orca in literary casting of the Andromeda myth. A different word, orc, alluding to a demon or ogre, appears in Old English glosses about AD 800 in the compound word Orcaneus monsters in the poem Beowulf. As the Italian orco, ogre, and the word ogre itself, it ultimately derives from the Latin orcus, a god of the underworld. And Old English creatures are most likely the inspiration for the orcs that appear in J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings.
And if you ever fight Orcus in the Throne of Bloodstone series, you're gonna get fucking nuked. Just saying. 100 levels my ass.
Well, it's funny, okay? One of the things that this guy said to me, right? He said, that's the beauty of D&D. I don't got to play an orc that way. The racism of this fantasy race's origins is pretty well known. In fact, it's why orcs went from black skin to green. And you're telling me to you roleplay this race this specific way by this way because nature is shit writing and racist, to be honest. And then I linked him the Encyclopedia Britannica, and so I said, you're telling me that it's a well-known fact about a fantasy race's origins. You should probably let Encyclopedia Britannica in on your well-known facts, because I could find no allusions to race or racism anywhere.
Thank you, Mr. Scott, for the donation. Hey, when did I get my wrench? Obey my authority, chat.
I'm sorry, did you say that he said he doesn't have to play an orc to know what an orc is about?
No, he said he doesn't have to play an orc that way, meaning, like, the whole behind, or the backstory behind the orcs about how they're descended from a certain god that was dark and savage and gave them this unquenchable bloodlust sort of thing. So they have to fight against their own nature to not be savage. He said, I don't have to role play that way.
Ryan said, drow elves, you mean Chinese corona survivors? No, Ryan, I'm afraid not.
So, ooh, excuse me. If they're survivors, then does that mean that they've been driven underground? Just saying.
Probably. Polly, what are your thoughts on orcs?
I find this article over on comicbook.com, where he's talking about what he finds as problematic, that very loaded word, quoting him here. There are two distinctive problematic elements to orcs. One dates back to their origins with Tolkien, as you guys were describing, and he's taken it a certain kind of way. Continuing. And one that reflects the wider issue surrounding race and ancestral origins in Dungeons and Dragons and similar fantasy games. He goes on, degraded and repulsive versions to Europeans, the least lovely Mongol types. Coupled with the fact that Tolkien depicted entire cultures as being representative of good or evil, many viewed orcs as a reflection of the other, a philosophical concept used to paint entire cultures as being somehow inferior or evil because they are different. Yeah, this whole article just reads about othering and a very superficial read of the entire concept, but that doesn't even matter because he goes into these descriptions about how you can play orcs any fucking way you want. It's the way that they work. But then they have these racial penalties for intelligence and other things, and he still finds a problem with that. It's been offered by other players that there's alternative rules for orcs that don't require them to take a racial penalty to intelligence and don't have a natural bloodlust or underlying rage. But, while these options remain, this weekend's discussion shows there is still much more progress needed, because when isn't there?
Hey, quiz.
Yeah.
Which edition is it that gives them some kind of bloodlust? Because I'm not recalling it.
You're talking about like the orcs bloodlust thing? To my knowledge,
Like mechanically speaking, or is it just lore?
That's always been lore. Like the orcs were developed by a savage war god.
Grumesh.
But no, the whole playing as an orc, never, because you've never been able to. They haven't statted out the ability to take orc as a race. You can play a half orc,
Yeah.
but you can never play an orc because an orc is a monster.
Yeah. But I mean, no, I'm just
I think it's these people. If you want to have anything at the, if you want to lay blame at any sort of footing here, and this is gonna sting some people, but you know what? I don't give a fuck. Blame Blizzard. Warcraft is the reason why people think that orcs are the noble savage, archetype. That's bullshit.
Yeah, they were always portrayed as like hideous monsters that would eat people.
Yes. But no, Blizzard was the one that tried to turn it on its head. Fuck Blizzard. Fuck everything about Blizzard. Fuck them.
You compared them to noble savages. Are you saying that orcs are American Indians?
Apparently. Well, that's what they tried to do. In Warcraft 3, they made orcs shamans, which they never were before. They were demon worshippers. And they in the art drew a lot of parallels to the stylings of Native Americans.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. So a lot of this is Blizzard's fault. Thanks, Blizzard.
Yeah, fuck Blizzard. I hate Blizzard so much. I've come to hate Blizzard so much.
It didn't used to be that way, but like most companies, they've just become corrupt, unfortunately. I think it really kind of hit home when they got bought out by Activision.
Yeah, that's where all this shit started to tumble down into no man's land.
Mm-hmm.
But still, no, they have no one to blame but themselves. Fuck Blizzard. I hope to see their rotting carcass on the next BlizzCon and say that we're dissolving as a company and Activision is going to explode internally. Fuck them all.
So
that got dark.
with permission, because I mean, it looks like Polly's already about to move on to another subject here. I do have some art that might not make you think, such racist thoughts about your about orcs to bring up if and
it's
share.
if it's Shadowrun orcs, then yeah, because they're cute.
No, these aren't even Shadowrun orcs.
Let's say Shadowrun orc. Okay, here's the reason why Shadowrun is acceptable when it comes to the orcs as a race, is because regardless of what their exterior looks like, every single metahuman in the Shadowrun lore is still human.
Yep.
They're still Homo sapien of some kind. They're just a subspecies of Homo sapien.
You had some art you wanted to show, Eve?
I have to do this because apparently when I try to screen share with Hangouts, it crashes me. That's why I left a second ago.
Okay, no, I gotta bring up one thing. Lion Patriot said I love Blizzards. The Oreo one is my favorite. Dude, you ain't wrong. And yeah, you know what? You got good taste too. Oreo is the best Blizzard.
Yeah, I'm a little partial to the Snickers one, but you really can't beat the Oreo.
I was gonna show that one.
Oh,
If you
Talk about Butterface, wow.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
Shady sent me that other one that you
these
flashed
actually
on.
came from Shady. So
and that one's definitely got a case of Butterface.
I mean, yeah, but you can put it. I don't know. I think she's kind of she's just a little misunderstood.
The body's hot. Not gonna lie, but Butterface.
Well, what about this one?
They all got fat thighs.
That one's cute, and again, she looks like a Shadowrun orc.
She kind of does, honestly.
Yeah.
But this is just what Shady decided to share in Discord, so I figured I'd where's my unshare now? I think if I just
unshare button.
do that. There we go.
Okay.
And mute the other me from the call so it doesn't lag down Polly's computer.
Oh, hey, look.
In here.
Popular anime and video game pinup artist, Foreign, accused of being fat phobic.
Sakimi-chan.
Foreign, a popular pinup artist who works prominently feature in popular video game and anime characters, found herself the target of a recent outrage mob as a wave of social media users recently took to criticizing her body of work due to their opposition to her personal art style. The wave of criticism against Foreign began when Twitter user @Foreign drew attention to a tutorial of drawing bodies first published by Foreign in July of 2019, expressing in a now deleted tweet her disgust that the bodies are, quote, all the fucking same. Yeah, if you scroll down, you can see it better there. There's 3 different body types, but they're all the fucking same. So.
I mean, okay.
It's okay. Here's the thing about Sakimi-chan. I'm looking at her DeviantArt right now, Sakimi-chan, and her stuff is extremely well rendered. Holy shit!
Yeah, it's not my art style that I would like, but I can see the talent there.
Yeah, she's a very talented artist. I think someone's just fucking jealous.
As a root cause of most of what you hear when it talks about body image issues. In the tutorial, which is available through our Patreon account, Foreign-chan discusses 3 different female proportion style normal, that's one more curvy and one a bit more exaggerated, but all consistent with her style.
Oh, speaking of, here, let me just screen share this one here real quick. For those that are willing to take a little bit more consideration to American comics than Japanese anime. Here's Sakimi-chan's version of Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman.
Oh yeah! Wow. again with the thick thighs, but you know, whatever. It's not my art style, but very talented.
I'm okay with it, Jack.
I
Let
know.
people have nice things. Oh, that's all right. You like them anorexic. I forgot.
Oh, it's a thigh gap is a love gap.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
I like some meat to be able to grab onto, especially around that thigh hip area. Gotta have something to sink your claws into.
Let's see.
Oh, that's right. You're boys. You don't have claws.
No.
Yeah, we're not orcs.
No, I just file mine to a point and then paint them up real pretty so they don't look dangerous.
I just think that this is somebody with insecurity issues, like Polly said, that is either jealous or just selfish.
Well, let's see what some
Yeah.
of the people who took issues actually said. Well, I don't want to be rude. I really don't. I believe her skill is amazing, but this is a prime example of how people don't know how to draw fat people. They're supposed to be fat?
Looked more athletic to me.
Yeah. Someone else said, as a larger woman, this really sucks for a multitude of reasons. You refer to the typical skinny body as, quote, normal. And then there's barely any difference in the second and third pinup. Really disappointing you can't broaden your horizons past skinny. She's literally out here making a tutorial telling people right-hand image is what thick looks like and that skinny is normal. It's fat-phobic and conceited as hell. Is 4-Chan Asian?
Sakimi-chan?
I would assume so.
I would assume, given the name, but
The art style.
Well, I can't abide by this sexism and racism. I will not put up with this.
Right?
she is foreign, yes.
Yeah. Well,
Quebec,
then
Canada.
you know, these... I'm soft and Leo Fiota and you better be POCs and women talking like
Well,
that.
I was gonna
God
say,
damn it.
She's from Quebec, Canada.
Oh, so she's French. Look, just because these people jiggle when they walk doesn't mean that everything has to reflect them personally. You can create an idealized thing. That's what pisses me off about all these fucking crybabies. They don't like idealization. They want everything to reflect their own personal blubbery bodies. No, not everything has to look exactly like you ever.
Well, see, that's the thing, is that they have to go after her for something, Jack. They have to go after her for something because obviously it's not because of POC lines.
Yeah, it's so tiresome because that makes me feel slightly ashamed of my body. I'm gonna destroy it. No, that's not the way you go through life, you piece of shit.
Yeah.
I mean, why would I want everything to look like I look now? That gives me nothing to strive for.
Exactly.
To be better, to improve myself. Hey, here's what a healthy body weight looks like, roughly. Can I try to reach for this, without having unrealistic expectations of myself, obviously, but at the same time, reach for something.
That involves trying, and it's easier to complain.
Jesus, what the hell is that? I was looking at the screen. They said, "Call me the N-word," and I'm like, really?
Even beyond the what?
No, I was looking at over here on the YouTube where Polly was scrolling through it, and he's like, "Call me an N-word. I know y'all want to say it with me," and he spells out the word monkey, as in he wants them to say sling. It's like, yeah, just sling racist things at me. Come on, dude. It's like, this is why you did this. You wanted it.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing, man. It doesn't matter about any of that sort of stuff. Like trying to give any sort of rationale, especially to the whole body positivity or any of that kind of stuff. It's all bullshit. Every single bit of it is absolute garbage. It's people trying to exercise power over other people. That's the whole point of this. It has nothing to do with any sort of body positivity. It has nothing to do with trying to make overweight people more represented. It doesn't have anything to do with any of that. It's people trying to have more power over other people. And you know how it stops? When the vast majority of people say, go fuck yourself. That's the point that we need to get to. We all need to collectively get to a point when someone says, "Oh, that's not your art style is so offensive to me." Fuck you.
I mean, I
Don't
have
like
no
it,
words anymore.
Don't like it. Don't look at it. I don't give a shit what you think. I don't. My art is there to be consumed. If you don't want to consume it, fine. But you know what? I don't need to fucking listen to you. Fuck you.
I mean, we say it all the time, but if you don't like something, go make your own.
Or don't
learn how to
consume it.
draw.
Or
Learn
don't
how to draw
consume
and
it.
make something you like to do. Or go find, there's plenty of artists out there who will draw the things that you want to draw.
Yeah.
Go follow their shit.
And say you are under no obligation to follow an artist at all. You are under no obligation. And in fact, actually, the decorum of any sort of critique that you are trying to give is under the fact that you are trying to be constructive, right? That's the whole, everyone's always talking about constructive criticism. It needs to be constructive. Well, how the fuck is that constructive? It's not. It's you complaining about something. And you know what? That's not constructive. Go fuck yourself. I mean, that's where all of this ends. That's where all of this ends. It ends when people can tell these people that are being judgmental pricks to go fuck themselves.
I disagree. Silver Sable, this Black Cat TV series. Been hearing about this forever. We talked about it like a year ago when they were hinting and dropping signs that it's something that might happen. I'm a little worried what they're going to do with Silver Sable because, well, I've got every reason in the world to be worried. But let's see what they're saying on Bounding into Comics about this. Silver Sable and Black Cat TV series can come to Disney Plus. Yay! Silver Sable and Black Cat TV series could be in the works for Disney Plus, adding a whole new twist to the relationship between Sony and Disney when it comes to Spider-Man characters and the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Right.
Was Silver Sable a Spider-Man character?
Yeah. Well, you know, like
technically, I think.
Yeah,
Really?
antagonist consistently.
Okay, she started as an antagonist?
Yeah.
I always thought that she was a hero. Like,
well, she's an anti-hero
anti-hero
at best. Yeah.
Yeah, like a mercenary. Yeah.
She
I'd
is
like to
the
her hero.
sole potentate and income generator for her native country of Samerica. You know, it's right beside Latveria. You know where it is. That's Doctor Doom's country. They don't exist. I'm cracking jokes. Moving on. Silver Sable and Disney Plus adding, I already read that. A Silver Sable and Black Cat film titled Silver and Black was going to be directed by Gina Prince Blythewood and was expected to also feature Spider-Man villains Mendel Storm, Tarantula, and Scorpion. Okay. Ooh, I like that cover. Accentuates the whole cat burglar thing. Anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Now, in an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, Gina Prince Blythewood provides an update on the property and what Sony might have in store for it. When asked about what something to do with the project, I don't know. Quote, "That's a book. Things are the status quo on my side. I really love that project. I do hope it can still happen in some way." Okay. Sounds like you've been shelved or in development hell.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She then detailed that it's been going on through a number of different variations. Yeah, that's a nice way of saying development hell. It keeps going through different thoughts. First, it was going to be two of them. Then the decision was made to separate the two. Prince Blythewood then detailed they're thinking of putting it on Disney Plus. Quote, "Now there's a thought, hey, maybe we put it on Disney Plus as a limited series, but I loved it more as a film with the two of them, so my hope is one day it'll still happen." Jesus Christ, guys. This ain't going to happen. Listen to this. Look at Silver Sable looking all badass. Yeah. Super mercenary that wears bright, reflective, skin-tight, quote-unquote armor. It's fine. It's a comic book. It works. It's great.
Yeah.
Let's see. If Sony and Disney are in negotiation to have Spider-Man characters outside of Spider-Man on Disney Plus, one can assume that Sony and Disney changed their overall deal when they agreed to keep Spider-Man in the MCU. It's possible the MCU might include other Spider-Man adjacent characters as well.
Well, I'd like to say this is sad, but the way that they've been going lately with the more SJW route, I can't be that upset that this got suspended for now.
Yeah.
Because I would hate to see it developed into something total feminist garbage.
Black Cat and Silver Sable as strong, independent women who don't need no man but need each other in a totally non-fetishized lesbian relationship.
Exactly. It won't be a stereotype at all. And they'll both be ambiguous minorities. Even though one's European from like the Eastern Bloc, she'll suddenly be like a strong black woman. Sassy, heavy-set black woman. Played by that chick from Community.
You're not wrong.
Avengers Endgame writer explains why the Winter Soldier could not be the next Captain America. Oh,
Too
shit.
white.
Or Mackie.
Poor Bucky.
During an Avengers Endgame party, which hosted by comicbook.com, oh, God.
No, yeah.
Marcus took over words. Towards the end of the film, Marcus was asked if they had always intended for Sam Wilson to receive Captain America's shield, or if they considered Bucky as well. Marcus' response had considered, but quickly dropped. He then explained why Bucky Barnes would not be appropriate to become the next Captain America. Marcus stated, Captain America is about idealism. What we could be if we were better. Sam is that. Bucky is something else entirely.
He's an evil white man.
Disagree. Like, I don't think Sam is necessarily not, but I also feel like the entire point of Bucky's story arc as Winter Soldier is about him overcoming his demons and being better. I mean, I think that would be very appropriate to hand it off to not just his, Captain America's rival, and then say, here, this is yours now, and leaving him with that responsibility, that weight of him going, I have to be as good as Captain America. Jesus, that would be poetic, but of course they're not going to do that because he's, like you said, he's white.
Well, I mean, didn't Bucky assume the position of Captain America, at least at some point?
In the
Yeah, I
comics,
think he did.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, he's the natural choice. He was Cap's sidekick throughout World War II, and like Chaos said, he was overcoming the deprogramming of being the Winter Soldier. He's got a cybernetic arm, so he can wield the shield just fine. They just wanted Falcon to get it because he's black.
See, this is one thing I brought up when Civil War, the movie, was coming out. I know, everyone, that Civil War, the movie, has very little to do with the actual Civil War comic, but we all know why I loathe that comic with every fiber of my being. Well, here's the thing, right? Say that movie had more to do with the Civil War comic, right? Other than the fact that it shares the name. Why did the Marvel CEOs, the planners for the movies, decide that is the story that needed to be told? Captain America has been around since the 40s. Why use a story from was it 2012 when Civil War came out?
No, it was like 2007.
It was 2007.
Right.
Yeah, around there. So it's 2006, 7, around that. Why use a story from then when you've got over 60 years of stories to tell?
Because that was really the launching point for the SJW infiltration.
Yeah. It makes no sense to me that a lot of the establishment of these characters is being ignored in favor of the newer stuff that unanimously, for at least the people that read comics, people don't like. There's not very many people that will champion the cause of the Civil War comics. Just saying, not very many.
Yeah. They were a dark time. Like, not necessarily for the comics industry itself, but for the characters. It's just a sensitive subject, you know.
It's highly speculated that Anthony Mackie, Sam Wilson, will become Captain America in the upcoming Disney Plus series The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, although the actor has previously denied that he would take up the moniker of Captain America.
Yeah, they're probably making him say that. Look, I like Howard Mackie. I think he's a good actor. I like the Falcon, but he's better as the Falcon.
Howard Mackie's pretty good, but I like Anthony Mackie more.
Yeah, whatever. Howard Mackie's the writer that used to do Spider-Man. Sorry. Anthony Mackie. Boy, long day.
It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, he's a good actor, and I like him as the Falcon, but the Falcon is better as the Falcon. Captain America is Captain America. It's Steve Rogers.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. If you want to have somebody replace him, I don't think the Falcon is the logical choice for it. I think it would be Bucky. Especially because with the cybernetic arm, he can throw the fucking shield better. That thing is huge and it's heavy. So I just don't get the logic there. It does feel like tokenism.
I mean, having a I don't know. I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry.
Then just wait about an hour. It'll come back in a second.
Oh yeah, it'll come back and be like, that's what I was gonna say right there.
Yeah.
I remember now.
Mackie changed his tune while promoting the second season of Altered Carbon, which was terrible in my opinion. He discussed what Sam Wilson's version of Captain America would be. The beloved Howard Mackie explained. And with the idea of being a black man and becoming Captain America, it's been a daunting task because I think, at this day and age in America, I think we are open-minded to ideas of having my face represent us as a country.
I mean, taking that statement as at face value, I wouldn't disagree. Like, I don't really think anybody has a problem with, you know, him being with Captain America being a black man. I don't really think. I think it's more of because you have somebody else who's already suited for the role, who would be much better suited and make a much more compelling story. If you're picking someone else, that's really my argument. I don't think Falcon will be a bad Captain America. I just don't think he'll be as good as Winter Soldier would be, you know?
Yeah, I think I'm mostly bitter about the comics where it was like constant race baiting with the black Captain America. Like, look, Captain America's black, 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 black. That's all they did with it.
Yeah.
It wasn't an interesting, compelling story. They didn't try and do anything with it of him trying to live up to Captain America. It was always just a bunch of race baiting nonsense. And I think that's really jaded my perspective on this.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just... This is Mackie continuing. And my race represent us as a country because we're truly a melting pot, so there is no distinctive look or feel for the design of an American. We're all Americans. So, to be Captain America, I want my Captain America to represent everybody, not just a specific group of people. That statement taken in and of itself, you know, would make I agree with. It makes a lot of sense, but that's not what's going on, like, at all.
Mm-hmm.
It's black representation is the argument of the people that are angry and want it to happen just to have it happen. The forced diversity crowd. It's like, we want it to represent black people. They don't want Anthony Mackie there to be Captain America, and neither here nor there. He's a black American, and black Americans are part of the American social fabric from the first day. Right. But that's not what they're asking for. They're saying black people need representation, which is going directly against what Mackie's trying to say here. We're a melting pot. We're all a bunch of different fucking people. So why not somebody who looks like me? Yeah, right. Why not? But that's not why they want it.
Yeah.
The idea is to get rid of, let's all say it together, pale, stale, and male.
Yep.
That's the fucking point. So it's like, Mackie, I agree with you, but I don't think a lot of the people that would like you in that role would agree with what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. Which brings up the thought of why do they always this is slightly deviating from the subject, which I'm sure you're used to by now, Polly, with Jack and Quiz on here. Why Hollywood always likes to replace redheads with black people as far as their characters go, like replace characters that had in previous, like either in comics or in previous iterations of a show, had been a redheaded white person and replace them with a black person. It's because the redheads are literally probably the palest people on the screen and therefore the most white. It's like the only reason you can come to the conclusion that you can come to is like, well, they're considered the most white person on the screen and therefore we should replace them with a black person in order to diversify our cast a little bit. And
that historically they're witches.
Well, I mean, you don't know what my powers are, but in that same vein of like what you're saying, Polly, they don't want it because because they think he'll make a good, he should have equal consideration and he'd make a good Captain America. They want it because he's black, because it's virtue signal points. If it had been a black woman up there as well against Mackie, they'd be going for the black woman because more diversity points. Not because he's actually a better choice, but they could literally bring in some random black woman off the street and just be like, hey, we want her instead because more diversity points. And so you're absolutely right in that regard.
Random TNA, remember to like and subscribe.
Yeah, especially when you put up sexy Savage Land Rogue up there. Nice.
Remember to like and subscribe. Okay. I already talked about those idiots. Oh, and these idiots too. Man, there's a lot of
Why do I know that next character?
Oh, hold on. Here's a little bit of an update here. An article from Psychology Today from PhD Christopher J. Ferguson. No, orcs aren't racist.
Hope you liked your career.
Yeah, why cultural critics keep arguing about the wrong things. The first paragraph says, the first claim regarding D&D is the easiest to consider. Simply put, there is no evidence that playing Dungeons & Dragons, or for that matter, watching or reading The Lord of the Rings, contributes to racist attitudes and behaviors in real life. In fact, evidence suggests that playing Dungeons & Dragons is associated with positive moral development and improved socialization, not increases in racism.
I can hear a bunch of 1980s fundamentalists spinning in their graves. Real quick, thank you, Mr. Scott, for the donation. We can fix this with Bucky's backstory. Bucky was born black. He turned white after his surgery. # Ginger Lives Matter.
Oh.
Thank you, Mr. Scott.
Random subject here. This one. Black Widow Bad Blood, Cereal Box's immersive story debuts. Debuts.
Debuts.
Debuts. You guys ever heard of Cereal Box?
No.
Like radio dramas, radio shows with sounds and stuff and narration and so forth. And they come out like one at a time, hence in a serial fashion, but it's like Cereal Box because they're kind of played for the pure adventurism of it. This is a Black Widow one. The newest audiobook collaboration between Marvel and Cereal Box features super spy Black Widow as she goes on a quest to retrieve a vial of her blood. The 14-part story, Black Widow, Bad Blood, released in the first 2 parts today. It's worth checking out. It's not the worst thing if you're interested in like audiobook adventure drama. I wouldn't call it exactly aimed at an adult audience, but it doesn't matter. It's still a lot of fun. I dug it.
Oh, radio plays are, I think, an underrated form of entertainment. The heavy entertainment guys at Games Workshop do audio dramas, and they're great.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, I still listen to the Shadow radio plays. They're epic. The BBC Sherlock Holmes ones are awesome. There's some really good ones up on Audible. Hit me up, Audible. Totally pitch you.
Yeah, no.
No, they won't. I say fuck too many times, and Joe like TNA all the time. Fuck you, Audible. Fine. Too good for me. There's a bunch of Batman ones, a whole fuck ton. I've listened to a couple of the Daredevil ones. No Man's Land, the audiobook version of the series, is really good. And it's I wouldn't really call it audio play, because there's like audio play where it's really done with dialogue and sound. And then there's kind of like audiobooks that play towards the stagecraft thing a little bit. I mean, they're sort of halfway there. That's what Serial Box is. Sounds in the background when the narrator's describing a fight, you will hear the fight noises, that kind of thing. And that's thus the idea of immersive story debuts.
Yep.
Everything can't be negative, guys. Sometimes I just like stuff, you know.
Well, I showed you the CD set I got of the Shadow audio plays, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, you did.
Yeah, a lot of those are public domain now, so you can get them off like the Internet Archive.
I bought mine from a liquidation from a public library. It's got the library tab in it.
Nice.
So I was reading this. It's showing a black screen. Not sure why.
Uh-oh.
Try that again. There we go. Or Spider-Man number 33. I'm not pitching this, but it's just like, there's a cover to make you think. What's the matter with mommy? So in this storyline, Spider-Man finds himself locked up in an insane asylum where he's drugged up and thus confesses to being Spider-Man, but nobody believes him because he's in a lunatic asylum, because like half the people there are superheroes, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it just goes downhill from there. And apparently the Kingpin is using it as a secretive underground means of selecting different people for different programs and different illegal uses. But I remember fucking picking this up as a kid, and this fucking comic cover haunts me to the day, and I've been in a blue funk lately, so I was like, I'm going to read something really creepy that I haven't in a while. I mean, seriously, look at that cover. What the fuck?
Yeah, it's a good use of contrast, right?
I love the crazy lady around the corners and stuff. What's going on there? Yeah, if you need some nightmare fuel, there you go. You're welcome. You guys been reading anything in particular?
I've been getting a lot of reading done, actually.
I've been meaning to keep reading White Knight, but I haven't. I need more time.
What is reading? I'm kidding. It was a joke. Jesus.
Twitter doesn't count.
I would say what I've read recently, but that would give away most of my comic pitch, so no.
Fair enough.
Well, let's read what's been going on over at Marvel because of COVID. Next 6 minutes is here. A6. And Frosted Glass says, I think Jeremy Renner is cool. He's got charisma. You're right on both counts. And I know that this is a statement that nobody's going to agree with, but fuck it, I make those all the time. Who gives a fuck at this point? The Bourne Legacy, the one with Jeremy Renner, was better than the other 4 Bourne.
I never saw them. I never saw him, that one, but the Matt Damon has a weirdly big head in those other movies.
Well, it coincides with reality because he's got a really big head IRL.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
I always thought that he
physically-
was the most down to earth of the between him and his platonic man love, the other one.
Affleck?
Yeah, Affleck, yeah.
Down to
Oh.
earth.
I thought that he was. I thought that he was
Well,
the
he
more
spends-
relatable one.
Well, I get. Well, okay, yeah. If you're talking in terms of like, I don't know, whatever. What does it matter? What
No, I meant like a physically large cranium. Like if you watch the Bourne movies that he's in, there are certain shots that make him look like he has a Charlie Brown head, like just this big, boxy potato man head.
Well, see, that's what when you said Charlie Brown, I thought, wait, what? Charlie Brown's head is not nearly angular enough to be. I mean, I agree. His head's fucking massively
like
oversized.
inflated like that, like oversized
Yeah.
in that sense, not necessarily round,
I like this.
but more of a boxy freak.
I like the style of the fucking films, the Bourne films. They're based on great Robert Ludlum material. The level of action and choreography and everything is great, and I think a lot of people attribute that. Let me say that again. In my opinion, people attribute a lot of the awesomeness of those films to Matt Damon, and nobody agrees with me. But fuck Matt Damon, fuck him. He's a miserable son of a bitch. Jeremy Renner's awesome. I can buy him as an action hero a lot more, and he's got enough fucking charisma for 6 Matt Damons.
I think I've only remember watching the first one of the Bourne movies, and I liked it, but I've not seen the Jeremy Renner one.
No,
I didn't
That's
even know
good.
they remade it with Jeremy Renner.
It's like an unofficial sequel kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
yeah, it's
It's
weird.
like-
I thought it was clever the way they did it. It coincides, like it's happening at the same time as the events of the third one, the Bourne Ultimatum. You see
Okay.
crossover incidents. What's happening in Bourne Legacy is happening precisely the same time as Ultimatum, where you see like news flashes that here's what Jason Bourne's doing over in Europe, etc. Yeah, it's really good. It's worth checking out.
Okay.
And avoid the final one. Again, in my opinion, just simply called Jason Bourne. It's fucking terrible. Oh my god, we got director Paul Greengrass back with his fucking romance lover boy Matt Damon. It's gonna be the greatest movie ever, and it fucking blew. There's no such thing as a magic combination of fucking people. Legacy had a different actor and a different director, and it rocked hard. And Rachel Weisz is hot.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
So anyway, I said something about COVID-19 and Marvel. And Disney, too. Let's just talk about both those things, shall we?
Mhm.
Oh, Marvel Comics halves its staff due to COVID-19. Oh no. What are they going to do?
A lot of people are doing that.
Let's just hope that who could we think of that could definitely be on the chopping block.
Jordan D. White, Tom Brevoort,
CB Cebulski,
son of I'm Not There to Dream.
Joe Quesada, Gail Simone.
I think they're just doing editors and staff, though.
Yeah, makes sense.
As the comic book industry continues to weather COVID-19, coronavirus, in case you didn't know, thanks CBR.com.
Isn't exclusive, by the way.
Let's check it. No, it's a TLDR. Man, do you think they got mocked into stopping that shit? Because it's been a while.
I sincerely hope so. I, mean, I hope that we are having this effect on them.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
People
Great.
totally listen to what we say. Excuse me, fuck. Marvel Comics, according to The Guardian, has chosen to furlough nearly half its editorial staff. Fuck yeah, they're the ones who deserve it the most. A spokesman for the publisher said that Marvel would not confirm numbers at the time. Now, I say they deserve it the most, but the reason why they don't have to furlough their writers and artists is because of the vast majority of them are contracted. They're not even employees. So, just the overpaid geniuses on the editorial staff that are fucking being furloughed. Marvel will continue to provide health insurance for the furloughed employees during the length of the pandemic. Because to do otherwise would be what? Racist or something, I guess.
Probably.
Yeah.
Several creators also gave their thoughts on the current situation, what they see in the future of comics. Oh, this should be great. Quote, the fact that these movies and video games and TV shows have appeal shows that these stories have potential. That's why we write comics where we totally fuck the canon right up the ass and that nobody likes it after we continually hunt after a phantom audience that never seems to show up. But that won't stop us. Said Amazing Spider-Man writer Jerry Conway.
I sense you altered the quote slightly.
You keep using this word verbatim. I haven't looked it up yet, but I have a feeling it's critical of me. If this goes on for the amount of time that we think it'll go on, a lot of these stores are not going to come back. Marvel, alongside other companies, has seen its flow of titties halted by the shuttering of Diamond Distributors, which handles the titties and the distribution of nearly every comic book publisher. Marvel has offered deep thrusting discounts on certain titties to the publishers through April 8th. Several Marvel creators have also participated in the hashtag Creators for Comics, hashtag Canucks for Comics, and hashtag Go Fuck Yourself. Yeah. Oh, that's it. That's the whole fucking story. Jesus fucking Christ. All right then.
To be fair, I think they've been furloughing the titties for a really, really long time at Marvel.
Jordan 250 says, pray he doesn't alter it more. Nice. Yeah, that was good. That was good. Look at this right here. You guys seeing this? Look. Unused Kitty Pryde concepts from Guardians of the Galaxy. She was going to be in Guardians?
Okay.
That jumpsuit makes her look fat.
She is in a later version of the Guardians.
I like 2.
Yeah, I hear you there. Do you notice the billowy sleeves are very reminiscent of our Excalibur era billowy sleeved costume? It's interesting. I did 2 or 3. 2 or 3. 4 looks like. What does that look like? What does that remind me of? That weirdo skirt onesie with the pants and everything. What is that?
It looks like a
Star Trek.
Yeah, I was gonna say it looks very Star
maybe.
Trek to me. Yeah.
If one, like, I agree, one makes her look fat, like, because it's just so like unconstructed. If it was a tight outfit, like tight on her, like the way you would want a mechanics type zip up thing to be, make it a little bit more tactical with some pockets on it, like cargo pants. You know what I mean? Knee pads, because she's gonna be running around doing things and stuff. I could go with
probably
one.
make her look too much like the chick from Firefly.
Kaylee from Firefly? Yeah, I guess.
Mechanic chick. That's just me, though. I don't like that outfit. I think you're right, Polly. I agree with your choices.
I like 2. 2 is the best.
Hey, Ryan Walters says she was in Guardians. Oh, am I just reading the headlines? And I thought they meant the movie.
In the movie, no. In the comic, yes.
I get you. Okay, I'm up to date. Leave me alone. I pop pills and drink. Look, we should probably move on. Number 4 looks like Kamala Khan. It does look like Kamala Khan. Well said, Shady.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
I try not to think about Kamala Khan.
No star on it though.
Browncoat Boaz said I had a soft spot for Kitty Pryde and Excalibur. No shit. That was just early Excalibur. Chris Claremont and Alan Davis was fucking epically underrated series. It was so good.
Yeah.
So
I've always found Kitty Pryde to be a boring character. Like, what is her power? She walks through walls.
She phases. She's trained as a ninja. Her name is Shadowcat. It all works. Is it not blood sucking enough for you, Eve? You can be honest with us. Is that it?
I mean, if you want,
is it because Ellen Page has such a big forehead in the movies?
See, Midnight in Exile at least offers up a redhead for this. Nothing beats red leather, Rachel Summers. Nothing. Can't disagree appearance-wise, but powers. I prefer somebody to have an interesting power set. Something they can really do something with.
Oh well, okay. First of all, Midnight in Exile is absolutely right. Red leather, Rachel Summers, her mutant hound outfit was unfucking believable. That's Alan Davis at his fucking best, and she's a fascinating character. Eve. People don't need to hear me extol them.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. It's just like fucking Cyclops' power is fairly generic and boring, but his actual character is much more interesting. Because he pretty much had to, because he didn't have any cool powers.
Gambit's first appearance, he beats the shit out of every single mutant hound.
Oh yeah,
single-handedly.
Yeah, but that's part of the tragedy of her character. She was forced to be a mute noun and use her powerful telekinetic abilities to hunt down her kind, and thus lives in this state of insane guilt over having done all that. But none of it ever happened because it was in the future that's now altered. Oh my god. It's like it's interesting or something. Anyway.
I'm just saying, Gambit's first appearance, he beats all of them. So,
Well, that's because he didn't have to fight Ellen Page as Shadowcat, where she could headbutt him to death.
Yeah, let's take Shadowcat, like Kitty Pryde, is actually like an interesting character who's like often played as way over her head because she was like the youngest X-Man, that kind of thing. Jubilee ended up taking that place as she got older, but she was always rambunctious and up for the battle and so on and so forth and willing to think her way through it. She's supposed to be incredibly sharp and smart. And then have her played by wannabe precocious, undeservedly arrogant Ellen Page. Like, that's the way she plays her, the way Ellen Page plays every one of her characters.
it's Ellen Page.
Yeah, it's
to lure you in so she could headbutt you. I call it the Rachel McAdams stratagem.
Rachel McAdams was awesome in True Detective Season 2, mostly because her forehead was covered. Here's an article that Jack sent over Bleeding Fool. Disney flaunts its giving spirit as they furlough their staff. I love that it's a Scrooge McDuck. That's fucking great.
Yeah, I like that one too. I was like, oh yeah, I gotta share this one.
Awesome. Exclusive. Disney bosses praised their giving spirit just 2 days after furloughing 100,000 workers while keeping $1.5 billion for bonuses, while food banks near their theme parks are overwhelmed. That's funny. What's moving down here? What is this? Oh, it's confused Mickey Mouse. Oh shit, Disney's gonna strike the channel now.
Their overlord.
That's not a Disney cartoon, so yeah.
Disney sent out an email last Tuesday boasting about their giving spirits. It said that 646,000 pounds of food provide 330 lots and lots of meals for family in need close to their Florida theme park. The email came as the company stopped paying $100,000 of its employees and the bonuses of $1.5 million that we previously discussed. DailyMail.com saw over 1,200 cars lining up for food laid on by the Orange County Food Bank outside of branch of IKEA in Costa Mesa, just 15 miles from California's Disneyland.
Yikes, BG. He says, well, giving their former employees pink slips is still giving, Polly. And to be fair, furlough isn't a pink slip. Furlough is a, hey, we're going to set you aside and we'll come back to you when things get better.
Yeah, we don't need to fire you. We don't need to provide reasons to let you go because we're going to call you up one day and tell you to come back. That's furloughing is just...
Well, that's the thing is that I've seen a lot of people just instead of, you know, furloughing their employees, they just let them go. And they're like, look, we don't want to give you false promises of we'll bring you back soon. We want to tell you, go look for something else. And when things get better, if you want to reapply, we can try to rehire you. But at the same time, we're not going to promise you that and leave you hanging, you know, false hope, in my opinion.
Yeah. I feel
just go ahead and let him go.
For Goofy. He doesn't have a lot of other job skills. He's kind of slow. You know, what's he going to do?
Well, I hear they're hiring for Bendy and the Ink Machine. They're making a new game. So, there was a character. It's a video game. There's a character in there that's very much like Goofy. It's a horror game based on like a. If you really don't like Disney at all or Mickey Mouse and the old classical style, like go check out Bendy and the Ink Machine because it's a creepy horror game based on a world much like Walt Disney's Vision and stuff, with like a Mickey Mouse type of character, a Goofy type character, all these different things, but like with a dark twist to it. So
Abigail Disney, Walt Disney Co.'s co-founder, Roy Disney's granddaughter, pilloried the move in a lengthy Twitter thread Tuesday, which began with a succinct summation, what the actual fuck? It's okay. I can't add anything on more than that. You got Abigail Disney coming at you with what the actual fuck.
What the actual fuck?
Yeah. And then you got like, look at this. This is great.
Shady also makes a good point. It says it also is like it also means they can't draw unemployment if they're furloughed. It's like purgatory.
You have to get another job and then drop that job immediately when you get back on. It's
Right.
What kills
it's
me
worse.
is
It's worse than getting a pink slip.
they use that word and like, you know, you look up furlough as it's defined. It, you know, a lengthy break with an undetermined end period, but a some sort of end period in mind. People get weekend furloughs from prison, for example, if they're not there for violent crimes, or in some states if they are. Fuck. Federal employees are often furloughed, but federal furloughs are very specific dates that they announce in advance, and they are going to cease your pay and then give you a recompense for it at a later date, and it's all clearly defined. These companies use that word furlough because they don't want to say, we're telling you to go home, but we're not firing you, so you can't, there's no benefits available for you because fuck you, we haven't fired you, we furloughed you. You've created an employment limbo.
Yeah. Unless they know when this is going to end because they were in on it.
How popular is Disney in China?
Oh, they're huge.
No.
All the toys and goofy shit are made there.
Well, everything except for
Was
Winnie the
that
Pooh.
a pun?
Yes.
Okay.
It was a bad one, but I'm taking credit for it either way.
Disney Plus clarifies ownership of Twitter hashtag May the 4th. Fans aren't buying it. You think? This is corporatism. I read through this article and it's great. It's like, we weren't saying what we said. What we were saying is what we want you to believe we meant, which we did when we said it.
Don't believe your lying eyes.
What we're saying is that you were wrong and give us a chance, please, because we need your money.
And we still own it.
The official Twitter account for Disney Plus decided to announce on their social media campaign for their Star Wars themed May the 4th celebration, because they totally created it, you know? It's not a fan-based organic thing at all. This isn't corporate attempts to buy things that they, or claim ownership of things that they don't actually own, like The Little Mermaid and Sleeping Beauty and
Pinocchio.
Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Pinocchio. Yeah, this isn't classic Disney at all.
They do own those in their specific relative animations, but if they claim that they own ownership of the story, then public domain has a little bit of something to say about that.
They own Hercules now. They made a movie about him. That's it. That's all. End of story.
Greeks. Okay. The Twitter campaign came after Disney announced that they would be bringing the much maligned Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker to Disney Plus on May 4th, 2020. However, there was a confusing addendum to the usage of the hashtag May the 4th hashtag. That reads weird. As it required users to agree to Disney's use of terms, the Disney account wrote, quote, by sharing your message with us using hashtag May the 4th, you agree to our use of the message and to your account name and all media and all terms of use to be found here. Termsofuse.com.
That's so fucked up.
Oh, yeah.
Terms of use?
Have you read the terms of use? They're fucking crazy.
Yeah,
there's some nutso stuff in there.
It's got something to do with your kidneys and your firstborn. It's a little wild.
It might as well. It's like you can't disparage Disney products and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh man, I kind of want to go on to my Twitter right now and just use the hashtag May the 4th and say like, fuck Disney.
I think what Frosted said should be in chat. I'm not repeating that. Should be what people tweet out.
It's like I was saying, where was that, Jack? You were there at the time. This is like Bodie McBoatface come to Disney, you know? It's Are you tempting people to fuck with you? Because don't test the internet. They're gonna get creative and cruel all at once.
Let's see here. May the 4th, 4chan.
I mean, you're pushing your luck in the wrong direction, you know? Don't challenge the internet. It's a terrible idea.
Evolved Potato says, Polly, Hercules is Roman, Heracles is Greek. Yeah, you're right. The section of Disney's term of use for generated content reads, Okay, let's see how fast I can read this and how fast it takes me for me to get bored. The Disney Productions may ask to allow or communicate, submit, upload, or otherwise make available text, chats, images, audio, video, contest entries, or other content, user-generated content, which may be accessible, viewable by the public. Access to these features may also be subject to age restrictions. Whether Disney products are made available by us or in conjunction with the Disney product appears on the Disney website, service, and or platform, or it is integrated with a third-party website, service, application, and or platform. You may not submit or upload user-generated content that is defamatory, harassing, threatening, bigoted, hateful, violent, vulgar, obscene, pornographic, or otherwise offensive that harms or can be reasonably expected to harm any person, entity, or whether or not such material is protected by law. Yeah, and it continues, but I won't. Jesus Christ. Look at this. It just keeps going. And then it adds, like, oh my God, is everyone seeing this?
The section concludes. Jesus Christ.
Legalese. What?
Oh, the section concludes this. Okay, I'll do this one. We may monitor, screen, post, remove, modify, store, and review user-generated content and communication sent through any Disney product at any time and for any reason, including to ensure that the user-generated content or communication conforms to this agreement. Without prior notice to you, we may terminate your account or your access to Disney products if your user-generated content violates this agreement, including unlawful postings or content without prior notice to you. We are not responsible for and do not endorse or guarantee the opinions, views, advice, or recommendations posted on or sent by users.
Okay, I just want to put this out.
I need a
right
drink.
I want to put this out right now. After listening to that, does anyone have any moral objections to piracy at this point?
Yeah, but I just don't have a problem with it being done to Disney right now.
Oh, I'm
I'm
just
angry.
saying.
Look.
If a company does something like that, how can you then be morally opposed to pirating their product?
This is why people don't like Disney, because they turn something that was meant to be fun for the fans and they try and take over it and turn it into a board meeting. It's like what I would call a fun sponge. You all know this person. They walk in the room and you're like, you're having a great time. Everybody's having fun. Music's playing. They walk in and it's like a record scratch. Everything suddenly stops and they're like, hi, guys.
Wait,
And
you call them fun?
and it has to suck all the fun out of the room, and then it can feast on your misery. It's an actual name of a creature. So yeah, it's one of the Disney is like that. They used to be the cool kid, but now they're just this Steve Buscemi, hello fellow kids that walks in and sucks all the joy out of the room, and everybody's miserable, and that makes them happy.
But they're from the happiest place on earth, Jack. How can they possibly?
Yeah, well, that sounds even more fascistic these days, doesn't it? Like, this is the happiest place on earth. Agree? So
you must agree. You must agree to our terms of service.
Nick Ricada here tweeted back at this, or somebody from Ricada Media did. So, Nick. Hey, Disney, you don't get to put ridiculous adhesion contracts on your tweets. We're under Twitter's terms of service, not yours. Stop being stupid. Hashtag May the 4th. Well, yeah. I mean, only Disney could think that they could extend their terms of service onto a platform that they don't currently own. You know what you're doing over there? Yeah. Well, here's terms of service for it. And it's like, well, Jesus Christ, this isn't even your fucking platform. How the fuck are you trying to extend terms of service onto a platform you don't own? It's like, Jack, here's my set of rules for the way you're going to behave in your house. What the hell?
Well, let's say that's the thing is they don't own yet, Polly.
Yeah.
Oh my God, is Disney running the British police? You got a license for that?
You got a license for that Netflix account?
Yeah, fucking nuts.
That was the thing that somebody made a video of, like, if Disney and Netflix had a conversation about everything, and they basically, the way it was laid out was that the guy who was playing Disney was just like, look, we got everything we wanted. We spent years loaning out our stuff to you and studying the way you do things. So now we have our own streaming service. We don't need you anymore, Netflix. You have no more power. And slowly, little by little, when give it another 10, 20 years, we'll have everything. We will be in everything. We will control everything. And it's just slowly getting to that point. We make jokes about it, but it's the scary reality that could possibly happen. short of something catastrophic happening to Disney.
So are you saying that you can see a foreseeable future where mega corporations are more powerful than governments?
Not just mega corporations, but Disney specifically.
Specifically Disney. Well, I don't know, man. After this furlough thing, depending on their profit margin, they may be shrinking in terms of the corporate, scene.
I
They
think
may not be
fine.
the juggernaut that they are right now, or were.
I think they're bleeding cash right now. This was a bad move at a time when their parks are all shut down, their cruise line is shut down, their movies can't go into theaters. What do they have? It's the streaming services, the only thing that they're making money on. The comics are shut down even. What are they going to make money off of?
And this is also part of the theory that people are speculating on related to Leslye Headland and Kathleen Kennedy's power gank move over at Lucasfilm and Disney. Disney leaker explains why executives are allegedly livid about the rumored Star Wars show from Leslye Headland. For those you don't know, it's a bunch of stuff coming out. Special Hollywood Reporter article where it was like it reads like an exclusive press release, but it's not exclusive. It's just Leslye Headland is going to be developing a show for Disney Plus that is a female-centric Star Wars series. Lots of details, reads like a press release, but Bob Iger and everybody else at Disney is, what are you talking about? And this is hence the title of this stream. Nobody knows about this show at Disney until they themselves read about it in shill media. And it's like, wait, what? How the fuck is that even possible? If you watch Midnight's Edge, they go over this in really great detail. Midnight's Edge, the YouTube channel, where the development process that one needs to go through to pitch a new show is like you need storyboards and character designs and different things like that. And that's the way that you pitch a new series to be accepted. None of that has existed. None of the resources are being tapped, not through Disney, but through Lucasfilm, that's obviously owned by Disney, to create those storyboards. It seems the only place that this show exists is in Leslye Headland's and Kathleen Kennedy's minds. But yet they apparently went and, here's this extremely detailed set of rumors. Now, the theory, and I won't read you through all this stuff, the speculation is they did that on purpose. Kathleen Kennedy and Headland did that on purpose. That it's a female-centric show being led by a female, and the female head of Lucasfilm, meaning Kathleen Kennedy, are putting the show up. If Bob Iger puts the kibosh on this idea, it's going to be, it's because you're a sexist white male. And they did it at a time when Disney needs money badly, and this is exactly the kind of press that they don't need. What is verified is that there's been several emergency meetings that everybody's been called into at Disney, including these two, to discuss it. Things aren't looking good. They tried to pull a power gank move, in other words. And Bob Iger's like, what the fuck? You don't greenlight a show that's going to cost millions upon millions of dollars, and you did it entirely on your own, but expecting to be gambling with our chips? No.
Yeah, how many times can these rogue people fuck up like this and continue to keep their jobs? And BG pointed out in chat that Disney's got a big loan that they took out due next year that they used to buy Fox with. So this bad press is not helping them. And showing you that you have executives that are rogue. Come on, man. What clean your house.
And well said. Yeah, it's like, what the fuck is going on? And people are using there's a bunch of rogue memes, like from Star Wars Rogue to the rogue activities. I mean, you nailed it, right? It's like, you guys are running around doing things that are just completely outside of it. And it's like, well, they just don't want to go through the standard channels because they're strong, independent women. If you read on Twitter, those are actually the things that people are saying. And it's like, no, listen, they're not even tapping resources, not at Disney, but at Lucasfilm. People at Lucasfilm have never heard of this.
Wow.
And it's like,
That's
how are you
fucked
saying
up.
that? Yeah, we've got a show in development. What development? Where are your scripts, your storyboards, your character designs, your set piece designs? They have none of that done because they would have needed to access the artists and the costumers and the writers, and they would have had to have paid them to do that, and the cat would have been out of the bag. You see? It's like, you guys are insane. I can't believe you fucking tried this. There's bold, and then there's foolhardy and stupid.
Okay, if anybody within the sound of our reach is listening and knows Bob Iger, please get him Jordan Peterson's book because he needs to clean his room.
Yeah, right, Walter. You at the same time. Both of you
His
clean
whole
your room,
goddamn
Disney.
house. He's cleaned his whole goddamn house.
And what's haunting Kathleen Kennedy with this, like the thing that nobody's letting go, and it is around Leslye Headland herself, former super associate and personal assistant to Harvey Weinstein.
Oh, God.
That is her that's her mentor. That's the reason she's in the industry at all, is because of Harvey Weinstein, his personal assistant for years and years and years. And it's like, she has been asked about it repeatedly. The Harvey Weinstein isms, all of the things around it. You were his personal assistant. You were the one who was keeping his daytimer. You were the one that was the gatekeeper. That's a lot of powerful access that she controls or mediates, right? As his personal assistant. Yet, you never saw any of these things that he's now serving a prison sentence for? Really? And her answer is, all the time has been the same. Non-disclosure agreements. I cannot speak because of my NDAs. Which, of course, isn't true, but it's a very convenient... NDAs cannot allow you to not speak on criminal matters if called.
Yeah.
It's like, Jack, you're going to help me bury this body and toss the lie over. Now, here's an NDA for you to sign, so you can't talk about it. Like,
who's asking, though? Is it the police asking? Because if the police are asking, yeah, the NDA won't protect her. But if it's the media asking, I mean, or just people...
Well, she's getting her. She is up till now. That's a good question. It's not the police that are asking because they simply didn't need the evidence, but people are like pressuring her because it's like, you are now Kathleen Kennedy's new acolyte. She loves you to death. She's looking at you. Now, it's important to remember Kathleen Kennedy's contract is up next year. She's gone, and they are not going to renew it. All signs are indicating they only renewed it for 3 years on a temporary basis because they were doing the giant purchase and they wanted the House of Mouse to look solid. That there were no giant changes. When you suddenly get rid of a CEO or a massive departmental director, that's instability when you're doing big corporate moves. So they put Kathleen Kennedy, they extend her contract for another 3 years. All signs are they're not going to be extending it again. So who's going to be at Lucasfilm taking her place? It looks like Kathleen Kennedy wants Leslye Headland running her own show with her feminist vision of the Force and future are female. So this is all the speculation that's going on in a nutshell, and it's fucking everywhere right now.
Look, okay, all she did was she was the one that held onto the key ring that opened the closet that had the casting couch in it, all right? It's perfectly fine.
So my thought is, first off, is I now like the Russian doll miniseries that she did a little less now, because knowing who she is and what she, it's like, oh, well, that's disappointing because I really liked that show. Second, what kind of longevity career-wise does she think this is going to get her? Because yeah, sure, let's say your plan works and you manage to put them in a position where they're embarrassed to say no to you, and they give you your show, and let's say your show tanks. Even if it doesn't, let's say your show is successful, runs for a few seasons, and then it just comes to a natural end, like a show does eventually.
Should.
Yeah. So what happens when that ends and you go looking for another job? Do you honestly think that after hearing about the bullshit that you pulled, anyone is going to hire you after that? Because I sure as fuck wouldn't.
I don't think she's looking for another job. I think BG said it in chat. This is about legacy. She's going to retire after this. She's got more than enough money. This is about preserving her feminist credentials for all her cocktail parties in the future. And it's about her legacy at Disney. That's it. She wants to make an impact. I don't think this has anything to do with future employment. I think she's going to retire, fade away, maybe write a book, and sit around at parties and do guest appearances on shows.
I don't know. I'm pretty cynical about this stuff. People tend to fail upwards. You know what I mean? I can never remember her name. The director-writer who directed, produced, wrote, and co-starred in the new Charlie's Angels film.
Elizabeth Banks?
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay. I mean, her movie completely bombed. Charlie's Angels, I mean. 1 week after it bombed and the ticket sales were back, that this was a complete and utter failure. your advertising campaign for, and how could one person be more responsible for one film than her with that? Produced it, wrote it, directed it, and was in it. I mean, holy fuck. And still, 1 week later, $150 million project given to her. I think people fail upwards with this stuff. It's more about contacts than anything. Like she's got the, like Eve mentioned, she's got the Russian dolls thing. And a lot of people look beyond the Harvey Weinstein-ism because of what Browncoat Boaz mentioned, which is the play that she wrote about him, where it's like, is supposedly based upon him and etc. I say she distanced herself from him. If there's anything, when I look at what's going on with the truck driver here on the right, she knows how to associate herself with very powerful people in Hollywood, be it Harvey Weinstein or Kathleen Kennedy, be extremely loyal to them, and then drive her truck over them if necessary when the wind blows that way. I mean, that's a distance perspective. I don't know her personally, but like, I mean, would you want this person as your boss? I wouldn't.
No.
Yeah. So there it is. That story is everywhere. The stuff that I talked about is the general wide angle of it. Midnight's Edge, which is a great channel, has put up 3 videos talking about it, including some of their own inside sources that they have on it. So there's a lot more detail there if you want to look further into it.
I'll say, all I gotta say is, given the fact that I went to school for animation.
I went to school for being a sub. Ow.
No, I just I stabbed myself with a dental tool. Sorry.
Sweetie, I can teach you that for free.
I went to school for animation, and you know how people say it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's absolutely fucking true when it comes to media. It really is. And I'll say the last day of my school was entirely centered around. It was supposed to be a portfolio day where you're supposed to show off all of the work that you've done. When you graduate, showing off your demo reel and all sorts of shit like that. That's part of it, yeah. But it really is like putting yourself up on the auction block like a piece of meat and trying to sell yourself to people that are coming by and appraising you like a goddamn piece of meat. It's degrading, it's humiliating, and again, it all comes down to what contacts you make there. And if you're cold, if you're applying for a position cold, and cold, by the way, meaning you've never contacted a person before ever. So like if you're putting in an application without any sort of prior contact at that place, your chances of success are massively diminished.
Well, I mean, that's true of just even a regular job. I mean, if you haven't had some kind of, if you don't know somebody involved in the system of some that you're applying to be in, your chances are diminished greatly. But even more so in the fields that you're talking about. I mean.
Well, I'm just saying that gives credence to the whole failure upwards thing, because people aren't inclined to give chances to people that they don't know. People are inclined to bend over backwards for people they do. And you've got to remember that these sorts of things, especially with something like Charlie's Angels and their whole feminist rhetoric thing, their whole strong independent woman who don't need no man thing, all of this is hitting buzzword after buzzword after buzzword. That is, checking boxes, hitting dings on the little answer machine that will mean that you are going to get a positive attention regardless of whether or not you are a success. And that's it's stupid, because it's the only sort of industry where actual consumerism, actual meritocracy means absolutely nothing. And there is so much money that these people make and don't contribute literally anything to get. So there's a reason why, yet another reason why, everyone, audience, that I have contempt for celebrity and celebrity culture.
Well, there it is. There's all of our stories for today, which brings us up to our comic book pitches. So, Eve, would you like to go first as our guest? As our guest, you get to choose. You can go first, you can go last. What would you like to do?
I don't want to go first.
You don't want to go first. All right, I'm ready. I can go first if you guys want.
It's up to you.
All right, I will.
Okay.
All right, so here we go with pitches, and I'm going to go first. And I am pitching G.I. Joe Silent Interlude. This is a brand new comic that came out that is a collected deluxe style edition of G.I. Joe Real American Hero number 21, but redone and overseen by Larry Hama, who wrote the original comic and did the breakdowns, and then the finishing art was done by somebody else. I can't quite remember, but this is a legendary comic. I remember buying it in like the dollar bin back in the day, and it was a total steal. What makes this story so interesting and influential, there's the original cover right there, is there's no words spoken in it whatsoever. The story is told completely silently, hence the name Silent Interlude. You have Storm Shadow, and this is an incredible introduction to him as a character and his weird, strange, ongoing relationship with Snake Eyes. And see, here he is. He comes in on his Cobra glider, and he's got some body-bagged up person, pulls out a sword, cuts it open. Oh my god, he captured Scarlet and brought her back. And the storyline is basically that simple. You have Snake Eyes coming in to rescue Scarlet from her kidnapping, and the fight continues. It's an excellent example of how, with sequential storytelling, you can tell an extremely compelling story and memorable story that lasts the test of time, to the point where decades later they're publishing special editions of it. This one from IDW. I'm gonna have to jump ahead a whole number of pages. The action in it and the sequencing is just great. It's Larry Hama at his best. You also get the super cool breakdowns in it, where if you're a comic book nerd and you love this issue or fall in love with it anew because it's new to you, seeing the original drawings by Larry Hama before they were finished are really cool to see. The man has talent with a pen and pencil. There's no question about that. He's a fucking hugely influential artist. But you also get G.I. Joe Origins 21, which is a new story that Larry Hama tells over at IDW now. And it's, again, another silent story told in the same way, but you can see how coloring techniques and Larry Hama's own art style have developed over the decades, because this is relatively new, and you get them all bound up in one issue. Just came out last week. It's available digitally because, you know, not everybody has curbside pickup. I highly recommend this. It's not a deep read, obviously, and I'm really very much into wordy comics, so it's kind of ironic for me to pitch something that has no words whatsoever, but it's just so damn good and such a great exemplar of the storytelling medium and how effective it can be. Highly recommended. So, yeah. G.I. Joe Silent Interlude Deluxe Edition. That's my pitch.
I remember Silent Interlude being a major thing. There were so many places. I think it won an Eisner, and Wizard talked about it quite extensively back when it was first originally published, because not too many mainstream comics did something as bold as having absolutely no dialogue.
Mm-hmm. And plus,
that's pretty bold.
It precedes the strangest story of all, where it tells was that G.I. Joe 26, Jack? Where it talks about, the hard master, the soft master, the whole story behind the connection between Storm Shadow between Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow. I gotta say this one part. This is from the end going back. I love the. I think, is my computer gonna cooperate? And there. Of course it shows that as the last page. I love it. You guys will see it come up on screen in a minute. And for anybody who's ever read the comics, it's a tattoo they have, and it's meaningful. Moving on. All right, who would like to go next?
I can.
All right.
All right, so my pitch is written by Michael Fleischer, artist Jan Deresma, letterer Steve Haney, colorist Glenn Whitmore. My pitch is, hang on 1 second, screen share. Advanced Dungeons and Dragons #1 from DC Comics.
Nice.
God, look at that TSR. I haven't seen that
Yep.
in a long time.
Nice.
Essentially, this is they got the license for Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. What this doesn't immediately tell you is that this is also set within the realm of the Forgotten Realms. So the more you look into it, the more obvious it
So,
makes.
Baldur's Gate.
Baldur's Gate is in Faerun, which is Forgotten Realms. The story of this is actually fairly interesting. It starts off with these magical artifacts being stolen by this hobgoblin homunculus on a wyvern and all sorts of stuff like that. And it eventually comes down to the fact that this is the beginning of the first God War and what eventually becomes the Sundering, told in graphic format. There were several books, actual novels written about this specific story, but this is it in graphic novel format, and in my opinion, it's pretty cool. This first issue really grabbed me. I actually found this whole series, not every single issue, but most of it, in a bargain bin at a convention. So I have actual physical copies of most of this comic series, and issue 1 so far is great. It's a gathering of all of these characters, and eventually them siding with Selune, who is the goddess of the moon, and trying to prevent this worldwide cataclysm. I am really digging this comic. I'm only I think 2 issues in, but yeah, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons #1.
Classic.
All right, Jack, you're up.
All right. Well, I want you to think back to a simpler time when things were awesome. And let's say you were on a plane and it got hijacked and they killed all the men and most of the crew. And it was down to one person to save you. Who would you want that to be?
Steven
No, Wolverine.
Oh,
Wolverine issue 1 from
Nice.
1988. This is the facsimile edition, which means it's a complete reprint, but on new paper. And the colors are sharper. So, of course, this is a classic from Chris Claremont, John Buscema, Al Williamson, Tom something I can't pronounce, and Glenn's Oliver. So check it out. This plane got hijacked, and it turned out that Mariko, his love, her servant guy, was on that plane. So Logan goes to rescue him, and maybe some other people, whatever. But the hijackers are working for someone else, and they have an ulterior motive. So he has to figure that out and kill a whole bunch of people in the process. It's a shockingly deep story where he takes on the Patches identity. And he also runs into Jessica Drew's roommate, who they had stayed with years ago. And she gets caught up in this as well. It's a fun story. I forgot how good this book was. And look, guns, Wolverine killing tons of people.
man, it's gotta be the 80s.
Oh yeah, 1988, man.
Yeah,
Look at that.
Because those guns look like guns instead of like weird ray guns.
Yeah, because people actually would like reference stuff occasionally back in the day. And the back cover has this cool pinup. I love that picture. But yeah, I forgot how good this book was. And when they redid it, you could see where like the coloration is slightly off. And it still works. Like I had such a nostalgia rush. This was so much fun to read. And it's made me want to track down some other Wolverine issues. But yeah, it was a great story. You get kind of an intro to because this takes place after the fall of the mutants, where they're all hiding in Australia. So he's got to go to Mandapore, and it leads him into this whole separate adventure cycle. And it was just a lot of fun. It's a great book. It really is X-Men the way they should have been written. Interesting, He's trying to save people's lives. He's being a hero. It was a fun time. So if you get a chance to pick this up, it's $4, which is same price as a new book. It's a lot cheaper than getting the original, and it's an exact replica of it. So this is a comic worthy of going to the shop for.
Nice.
Curbside pickup, of course.
Yeah, whatever.
What, are you trying to kill old people?
I can do that too.
All right, Eve, are you ready?
I still muted. Oh, no, I'm not muted. Okay, good. I believe I am ready.
All right then.
Um.
The stage is yours.
So I have to. Do I have to like tell you who all made it and stuff? Because I never paid that kind of attention to things back in the day, especially not to this particular series. But you know,
Yeah, we can look that up.
Mm-hmm.
I have the list right here. The writers were Kent Taylor, Ken Penders. The pencils were Manny Gallen, and inks were Pam Eklund. Letters Jeff Powell, colors Carl Bowlers. Editor was Justin Freddie Gabri. I don't know if any of these names are ringing any bells to you because they don't sound like any of the names y'all normally discuss on here, but hey. Am I echoing at all?
No.
Not that I've noticed.
Okay, because it's weird. Oh, that's right. I didn't give it permission to pick up my voice on here. All right, that's fine. I'm going to share my screen, and well, the comic that I'm going to pitch is actually very near and dear to my heart because it was one of the few comic series that I really got into as a kid back in the 90s. And I remember when this first came out as a 4-part series, this little story arc. And I saw it in the back of a comic, and I was just like, I have to have this. This is a big, important story arc of something that's very a franchise that I was very much into. And that in particular is Sonic Endgame.
Ooh.
Jacob says, I already know what this is without even me. Jacob already knows because Ken Penders. Yeah, apparently. So Sonic Endgame here is a 4-part series, a 4-part arc in the Sonic comic series from the 90s. I think this is 97, issues 47 through 50 of it takes what is normally like considered a kid's thing, an Archie comic series, and makes it a very dark turn of events. Like, you know, they're doing a usual raid against anybody who knows anything about Sonic the Hedgehog. You know, Sonic the Hedgehog and his freedom fighter friends are always warring against Dr. Robotnik, and later quote Dr. Eggman, which is actually a different character, believe it or not, and trying to reclaim their homeland from him. He's taken over and turned everybody into robots, and taken over with his army of robots. And you know, they're doing one of their normal raids, trying to get a foothold in there and take over. And something goes wrong in this case. As you can see here on the cover, Princess Sally falls to what everyone believes is her death. And Sonic here is seen holding the knife and cutting the rope. So as far as they're concerned, Sonic, you know, Princess Sally is dead or dying, and Sonic is to blame. So they're all freaking out. They don't know what to do. You know, she falls and is gravely injured, and then later supposedly dies. The raid continues on. Sonic has no idea what's going on, and you know, he shows back up at Knothole Village, and they're going, why did you do this? Why did you hurt her? You know, and they're going, wait. He's going, what's going on? What, you know, he gets arrested. He gets thrown on a plane, sent to a prison colony, and that's continued over in the second one, where he actually escapes, and they get a little bit of a reference to like the 1993 Fugitive movie with Harrison Ford.
I did not kill my wife.
Yeah, I did. Basically, I did not kill my wife. They did, because you see it crossed out, it says Sonic the Fugitive in like spray paint here. The plane is shot down by Robotnik's people. They're his robots, and Sonic escapes. You know, it's part of his plan. He was trying to make Sonic look even guiltier by trying to rescue him, air quotes. But and in the process, there's a particular scene that, like this right here, where he just, you know, he comes out of the plane, the crash plane, and just starts attacking the SWAT bots. And he's gone. His humor is gone. He's no longer just this sassy, wisecracking hedgehog anymore. He's just fighting, and he's angry, and he's sad, and it really gets deep into some emotional places that, as a 10, 11-year-old me, was just kind of like freaking the fuck out, because this was an entirely new angle on this little hedgehog that ran across my Sega Genesis screen when I was a kid. And it really goes into some dark places. Like, you know, Joffrey here is Joffrey St. John is the captain of the guard, and him and Sonic had long been rivals for Sally's heart. But Joffrey had, because he's the captain of the guard, had the king's favor. Sonic was the one that Sally was truly in love with. But, you know, they always kind of had this friendly rivalry where they rivaled against each other, but they also, you know, they were friends, sort of. But after her accident, Joffrey blames Sonic, and he goes into the cave and finds him, and, you know, they get into this big knockdown, drag out fight, culminating in this one scene, which, if I can get to the page, where he says, you know, it's just like, you murdered her, and Sonic's like, I didn't do it, and he's like, you killed the woman I loved. He said, don't say that, you only love yourself. I loved her. And it was just like I said, I'm 10 or 11 years old. This is the most intense shit I've ever read at this point, you know, watching these characters who I'd long seen in the cartoons and stuff, really just get into it and fight. And this one in particular ends with Sonic leaping off of a waterfall into, you know, and trying to get away. And it's just nuts, man. It goes on to, I'll kind of skim over the last two issues. Sonic getting help of his friend Dulcie here, and they go to see Knuckles the Echidna, looking for help. It's in here somewhere. Yeah, they go to see Knuckles, who attacks them at first, but then, you know, he ends up helping them. And then culminating in a final fight with Robotnik himself. I love this last cover for the Sonic 50. That was just because it was holographic and everything. The issue I had, it was great.
It's pretty cool.
But yeah, no, and so I won't really spoil. If you want to go look it up yourself, I won't really spoil how it ends. But it's a big turning point in the Sonic series, and in a lot of stuff, because a lot of stuff changed from this point forward. Sonic changed. He came to realize this wasn't just all fun and games for him. He'd always been fun and games. Always had been this, like I said, this wisecracking smartass. And while he still has some of that, he also comes away from this realizing things are much more serious and much darker and harder than he ever imagined. And I really liked the arc. It really hit a nice place with me as a kid and left a big impression. So,
well, you know, it's interesting when you go back and you look at those sorts of stories. You can like trace back the first bit of media you consumed that didn't treat you like a kid.
Mm-hmm. And there were still some like kid elements, like in the last one I just showed. You know, after he leaps off of that waterfall, how does he get out of that? How does he like not fall to his death? Mm-hmm. He thinks of something, you know, because he's Sonic the Hedgehog, he's super fast, right? He thinks of some little trick he's always wanted to try. He reaches into his shoe, which is full of dirt at this point, pulls it off and empties some of the dirt out into his hand and throws the dirt and uses the dirt that's in the air to catch friction with his feet and just run along the dirt. And and to safety, you know. And I was just like, it's so ridiculous as an adult, but as a kid, it made perfect sense to me,
Mhm.
you know.
Well,
But-
no, I'm talking specifically about media that doesn't seem like that's pandering to you or like talking
Right.
down to you. Yeah.
Right. And it was just like, it was so crazy to me to just being a person reading that as a kid, because I was used to the Saturday morning cartoons and the video games
Mhm.
at this point, and it was nuts to me to see it that way. So
Very nice. All right, and there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Another one in the can. Episode what? 84, I guess. Thank you everybody for coming by. It was greatly appreciated. Thank you sincerely to everybody who donated. You guys are so awesome. Thank you to everybody who showed up early. We're gonna start doing the shows earlier, as evidenced today. It wasn't completely effective, but then again, nothing I do online is. Thank you to Jack and Quiz for being here, and thank you, Eve, for being our special guest. It didn't work out the first time. We are so glad you're able to make it this time.
thank you for having me.
Always a pleasure. You're always welcome back. Jack, Quiz, Eve, any final thoughts?
Read some comic books. And thanks for the donations, everybody.
Have patience. We'll get better at it.
Probably, likely. And and thank you, Evolved Potato, for posting our links in chat. It's always very much appreciated, man. Okay, and there it is. What's up, Eve?
I said my final thoughts are fuck bitches, get money.
That's always. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Have a good night, everyone.
Bye.
Hey.